Yeah, now I hope you can see my screen. So for Code Realtime, we are using, I think you know this GitHub repository that you can access by clicking here. And part of this repository contains test cases that we use ourselves for testing Code Realtime. They are in this test folder. And in this sprint, we have also added another folder here called Runner, where we have published the test script that we're using for running these tests. And the reason we have published them publicly on GitHub is that we think they can be of interest also for you as customers. There are mainly, I think, two scenarios where this can benefit you. So if we scroll down here, there is the description of how it works. And the two scenarios, first one is you have your custom version of the target RTS, which I think many of you have. And you want to make sure that the changes you have made have not broken any existing functionality. For example, when you uplift to a new version of Code Realtime or Model RealTime. And then it's nice to at least have some automated tests. You probably also have your own, but here you can now run almost 200 tests that we have published that you can check so that they are still working. And of course, if you make additional changes to target RTS, then it's maybe even more interesting because then it's easy to break something if you don't have any regression testing. And the other scenario is if you are either a Code Realtime user that want to implement traditional regression testing for your art application or libraries, or you're a Model RealTime user that uses libraries that you have developed with Code Realtime. As you remember from previous sprint demos, we have shown that it's possible to develop a library in Code Realtime and then use it from Model RealTime. And the steps for running it is quite simple. Of course, you need to have Code Realtime installed, since this uses Code Realtime behind the scenes. And Node.js is how the script is written, so you need to have that installed as well. And then you also need the C++ build tools, but that you also already have if you're able to build from the Code Realtime or Model RealTime user interface. And then you can just install dependencies like this and then run the script like this. And there are many arguments to this script that you don't need to think about because we have they are kind of reserved for our own internal use. But here are the ones that you need to specify. So the location of the tests, which Java to run, this is typically the same as you're using for running Code on Model RealTime. The location of the art compiler, it's usually inside the installation of Code RealTime. Which target RTS to use, so this would point out your custom version, if that is what you want to test. And the target configuration that should be run. The script can be run in two modes. If you're just running it like this, then it will run as a batch script without any UI, and that's appropriate if you want to integrate it with CI/CD tools, such as Jenkins or DevOps Deploy. You can also add this -- port and specify a port number. In that case, it opens a web server, which either can stay active only as long as the test is running, or you can pass this terminate web server equals never, then it will keep running also afterwards. So I have actually here started this script already using that. It's the output is long, maybe I need to show it, but this -- port equals a port number, and then I have this web server running here on my machine. So right now there are 165 tests, and they run in about 4 minutes, so it's not taking so much time. Yeah, and then you can, for each of them, you can check the build logs and test logs. That's mostly of interest, of course, if something fails. I actually think I have something failing here. Let's see if I find that. Yes, so one test case, if we scroll down here to the failure. So when you're developing, it can also be useful to run an individual test case. So here I will now fix this test case by just deleting some stuff that prevented it from working. And then I can click the run button again. Then it will run only this test. And when it is done run to completion, it will show with the color green or red if it's working or failing. And now you see now it passed. So now we have a clean test run. So this way of working with the web browser is mainly useful while you're developing and want to troubleshoot why a certain test fails. Otherwise, you will use it without that -- port argument and run it as a batch script in the background. And I think at this page also, there is a complete command line that you just can copy paste with typical values for these arguments. Sometimes you may not want to run all tests. Then you can use -- test cases to only run someone, for example, the ones that are failing. And if you have a powerful machine, you can also use this -- max parallel. So by default, it runs 5 test cases in parallel. That's appropriate if you have enough cores. But if you have a very powerful machine, you can raise it even more. That will speed up the overall test execution. If you want to make it slower, but not use parallel execution, then you can set it to 1. Then each test will run serially, one after another. Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions on these test scripts? And we are adding more tests, of course, every sprint. There will come more tests to this test suite.